All right, so we've created the user model, we've created the user route. Now let's create the user controller. So we're going to come to the controller folder, and inside of this folder I'm going to say user controller.js. Okay, so that's missing a T. All right, .js, and then I'll just hit enter to create that. Now, what are we using this controller for? So if you look at this user route, you'll notice that this register user, it's the function that's supposed to fire whenever we make a request to this user route /register. It's technically /API localhost /API users, and then finally /register. So whenever we make a request to this endpoint, we want this function to fire, and this function is supposed to be inside the controller folder if we're going to pay attention to separation of concerns, which is very important in development here. So I only put this one here so that it doesn't throw an error when we save. All right, so now technically this should come from our controller. So I'll head over to the controller and I'll create an arrow function. I have a shortcut for that, controller function cf, and it's just going to create, I'll call this register user, like so. Exactly. And I don't want it to do anything, I just want it to send a response. So I'll just say response.send, and I will say user. Now I'll just say register user. Now because I want to be able to access it from the user route, let's export it. So I'll say module.export, and the idea is that in this controller user controller.js file, we're going to have several controller functions. So I'll export it as an object that will have many properties. All right, so first off, the first property we're adding will be this register user. So copy that and just slot that in here. So for example, if we create another controller function, login user, all you just need to do is add a comma and then add that. All right, great. I'll go ahead and save this guy, and then in my user routes.js file, I would import this register user. So let me auto import it by pressing Ctrl and space bar, and then it will just look for where the file is. If I hit enter there, yeah, so you see it has imported its register user, and this is where it's located in our user controller folder. Let me bring it down. So that's about it. Now it's time for us to test that route to see that it actually works. Remember, it's a post request. So what do? I'm going to bring up my Insomnia, my testing tool, and remember in this p event folder we created a first request, and this is just the home page request. So maybe I should rename this just so that we how do I rename it? Copy setting. Okay, settings. I'll click on settings and I'll just rename this to home page, and I think hitting enter should just save that. Oh, okay, maybe I'll just click on the X, and yeah, so you see it's now home page. Great. So now we want to test the user route. So I'll duplicate this route and then I'll just change it to register user, because that's what it does. Hit enter. Aha, so we're now on this register user what's it called, request. Now remember, it's a post request, so you need to change this here from get to post. Then we now need to add the complete the URL. So it's localhost 5000 / API. So let me show you where that's coming from. Go to your server.js, you see where we are using this route. So in front of it there's /API /users. Okay, then finally /register. Okay, so what that means is that, let me bring that up. So what that means is that here we're going to say 5000 /API /users and then /register. So that's the route, complete route. Now let's send the request. Hopefully we're going to get everything working fine. So I'll send. So you see we get a status of 200. Okay. Aha, so you see here also we get register user. So what this means is that we've been successfully able to set up our model, our our route and our controller, but technically we also set up the model. In the next video now, we'll now start working directly on the function to register a user to our database. See you in the next one, my friends.